I am Gilbert Stuart, and this is my story of my life as a portrait painter in the 17th century, told through myself and through some of my most famous works of arts. When I was 20, I went to London to study under Benjamin West. By 27, my career really took off with my portrait of William Grant, which I entitled The Skater. With this painting, I was able to charge as much as I wanted to my clients all over Europe. When I was in my 40s, the opportunity to come back to the new developing America to paint George Washington came about, and I could not resist the opportunity. So I headed back to Philadelphia to paint my first portrait of George Washington. I am Sir Joshua Reynolds. Mr. Stuart painted my portrait before he headed back to the America to paint George Washington. In my opinion, he was a coward because he was escaping business fraud and bankruptcy. He views himself as a worldly man with great communication standards, and I do not. He is not another American painter that will not make it. I am George Washington. Stuart and I were introduced by a mutual friend, Chief Justice John Jay. Stuart ended up being quite the annoyance. He took way too long to paint, and all he did was chitter on about his travels through Europe. In my opinion, he was not worth all the money I spent for him. Washington was a grump, and he made painting his portrait a terrible task. My favorite painting is Catherine Brass Yates. I love her because she was not only a character to look at, but one to be around as well. I loved the very sharp angles in her face and her expression. Oh yes, my sitting was Stuart. He took a terribly long time, and I am not a woman of leisure, so I continued my sewing as he painted over the months. In my opinion, he talked way too much, and he was a waste of time. But my husband admires my portrait, and I guess he did himself well in the end. Yates allowed me to break through to the Americans, have them admire my work, and she soon became a symbol for the growing Republic of America. For this reasons, I am very proud of her, and she is my favorite work by far. Her portrait allowed me to get other clients, such as John and Abigail Smith Adams. I did not appreciate what he did for us with these portraits. Although mine turned out rather well, my husband, on the other hand, did not. He looked as if he was agitated, although I do think that is because together they did accomplish doing a lot of snuff. It also took him 15 years to give us our portraits. Stuart was a nuisance, and he talked too much, although he is very skilled. I have to give him that. Gilbert Stuart also painted the first 5 presidents' portraits: George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, and James Monroe. He was known to be entertaining and a charming conversationalist. He found that he had to be this way in order to entertain his sitters, since it took him so long to paint their portraits. He used very small brush strokes, and he also preferred little accessories, and usually did a dark background to really make his sitter's position pop. He is known today as the father of American portraiture. This is the story of Gilbert Stuart.